Let's discuss the throat. What is the throat? The throat consists of a group of muscles and nerves and veins and glands. It is a collection. If you notice, your body is wider than your neck. So all of the nerves that are throughout your body has roots that travel up and through the neck. So it is a collection of energy. So it's like somebody like slits your neck, like you're as good as gone, because it's so much vital energy that travels up and through your neck. Is a collective of the esophagus, the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, the tonsils, the thyroid, and the parathyroid glands. So, understanding that what we eat has to travel through our neck, air for us to live travels through our neck. So the things that we say come from our diaphragm up through our neck. So our voice, our neck is important. So something is going on with the neck, it could affect us in other areas, and that's physically and psychologically. If your thyroid gland is off, it will affect you psychologically. So balancing the Vishuddha chakra is entering into the kingdom of heaven. By balancing your expression, your listening, and your assertive nature, you are now, the key word there is listening. If we're listening to the God within, which we've established at the Anahata chakra, then we will express from that point. And that is how we get into the kingdom. But we cannot find God within with our egos, because our egos and our soul are different. So, moving forward, discussing some things. So, chakra work is an inborn system that exists within us. This is the ladder, Jacob's ladder, the Tower of Babel. So the Bible speaks of chakra works in Revelation when it talks about the 12 cities, the 12 lampposts. I mean, not the 12, but the 7 cities and the 7 lampposts and the 7 lights and the 7 angels. Basically divine messengers. So when we align our chakra systems, we align our physical self with our spiritual self. And to me, this is very important. More important than how other people feel about me at this present time. It is more so to how I feel about myself and understanding the greater part of me. That is always the goal. And most people won't understand that because they're in the lower 3 chakras. The lower 3 chakras are the ego, and it is toil. And it is toil for the sake of toil to have more and have more responsibilities, more money, more bills, just more. You understand? And to me, that is not my goal, to have more. My goal is to understand myself spiritually. So when people have the question, well, why chakras? Why do chakra work? The answer would be because I want to know myself. I want to understand myself spiritually. A powerful prayer, if you grew up in church, you probably used it once or twice in your personal life, the Lord's Prayer. And the reason why the Lord's Prayer is powerful, not because you're praying to Jesus. The Lord's Prayer is powerful because it aligns with the chakras. So let's go through this and let's break down how the Lord's Prayer aligns with the chakras. Our Father, which art in heaven. That is talking about the crown chakra. Our Father, which art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. That is talking about the pineal gland. What we're going to focus on in this video is the kingdom, because it is referenced twice in the Lord's Prayer. But in other discussions, we will talk about, next week, we will talk about hallowed be thy name and the power in discussing the pineal gland. But for discussion's sake, we're going to talk about the kingdom come, thy will be done. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And for thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory. So, back it up. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and forgive those who have trespassed against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. And that is the heart chakra, delivering us from evil, delivering us from our ego completely. This is not something that we can half-assed and half-heartedly do. Chakra work may be the most beneficial thing that you can do in your life, and you have to understand that for yourself. But deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So, basically, we want to discuss the kingdom, because we're talking about the thyroid, or the throat chakra, or the Vishuddha chakra. We are clearly discussing the kingdom if you want to look at the diagram. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, for thine is the kingdom. What is the kingdom? In the Gospel of Thomas, which is Gnostic text, I suggest anybody read up on the Gnostic text, the Nag Hammadi library, Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Pearl, the Gospel of Sophia, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, just powerful texts that predate the actual Bible. So you get more of the raw and uncut version of the Bible before, it got cut up and edited. So powerful text, and it's all online. But in the Gospel of Thomas, it is discussed about this kingdom of God ad nauseum. About 24 mentions to the kingdom in Gospel of Thomas. The kingdom being the neck, being the narrow door, and albeit a personal, powerful, and special part of the human body that people don't even pay any attention to. I mean, why should they? But the thyroid gland is extremely important to mental health and balancing your thyroid gland. Being conscious of your thyroid health, especially women, because the thyroid produces estrogen. So a lot of times you have depression, right? And you think that, it's because of your baby daddy. And it's really internal, because your thyroid is hyperactive or your thyroid is underactive. So this discussion is to completely balance your thyroid and give you a perspective. The perspective of the ego cannot reach the thyroid based on doing chakra work. It's like climbing a ladder and wanting to reach the third floor, but not wanting to have to ascend. You just want to magically appear. Well, that's not the purpose of a ladder. The ladder must be ascended. The ladder must be climbed, much mean there must be effort to reach a certain destination. So balancing your fifth chakra, balancing your thyroid, is not about eating and drinking and sensuous things, but it's about living righteously, putting your peace first, and realizing that joy is on the inside. And it is that simple. And if you were to look at the thyroid holds the shape of a butterfly. So that means that the ego must be transcended before you could deal with your depression. The thyroid represents the communication between the head and the heart. It is what separates the head and the heart. It is actually the neck is the actual bridge between the head and the heart. So, if your head is saying one thing and your heart is saying another thing, then that shows up as skin problems. That shows up as health problems. That shows up as depression. That shows up as insomnia. When you do not speak truth to existence. Your skin is your largest sense organ. It's larger. It is the same as like your heart, or your skin is an organ. And so when you do not balance that, or even understand the constant change of your skin, see, dead cells come off of you every day, and we have completely new skin every month. So generally we are always changing, we are always evolving. And so if we are stuck in a particular point in our mind, or a particular destination devised by the ego, then whether we get it or not, we have to deal with the emotions of having it, losing it, keeping it, striving. And life is about listening to your heart, because your heart is where God within resides, your Anahata chakra. We talk about this. You know what I'm saying? So your heart is where it's at. Your head your head has to be connected to your heart. Without doing chakra work, we think that our head is right. And that causes the thyroid problems. What one thinks and what one's truth. And the truth is absolute. And we will talk about that. But problems come when we do not speak up for ourselves. And we do not transform. And we want to answer for the ego. But we can never answer for the ego. The ego has to be transcended. It is not to be satisfied. Particularly when doing chakra work. We contemplate these things religiously. We make these things a habit. Because we want to understand what our soul has to say. And we know that what we are thinking is incorrect. So, from the throat chakra, we begin to connect. We begin to bridge from the anahata, and we actually activate the pineal gland. We do not activate the pineal gland by reading about the pineal gland. We are only having a good feeling from new knowledge. We are not activating the pineal gland because the ego is still running the show. We only have the mere sensation. We listen to some binaural beats. Our soul or our spirit exits the body, we have a particular experience, and we throw in it, we open up a store and start selling crystals because we are so fucking ascended, or we read about different religions, different spiritual systems, yet we don't understand the why. We think that the why is to have more, but no, we have to go through this ascension, and at the beginning it is rough, and as you ascend it gets rougher. The pain increases, the old shit that doesn't want to let go, the poverty consciousness, all of these things that just do not want to let go hold us back from realization, having our own realization. So I just want you to take a particular look at the thyroid gland and realize that it is not the caterpillar, it is not the ego, it is the butterfly, it is the person transformed, and then it allows that bridge. This is why we suffer as a people, because we are not activating our throat chakra. We are not living like Della Reese. We are simply existing and not conscious of why we should do chakra work and the benefits of chakra work. And we suffer from thyroid problems. We suffer from thyroid problems as a people, as a collective. So we have to understand emotions. We have to understand negative emotions versus positive emotions versus passive emotions versus active emotions. And find our center point. Because if you look at this graph and then look to the right, the cross, which could be a symbol of many different things, but in ancient mythology, the cross stood for the upright human being, and the snake on the cross, which is the caduceus, represent Kundalini rising. And that point in the center of the cross is the throat. So if you put your arms straight out, extended your arms from left to right, that center point is your throat. That is the center of everything that is going on in your lower body, and it needs to travel up through the throat. So centering your emotions, understanding that passive emotions are not completely good, even if there are. So passive emotions is being bored, and it's not negative, but we need to raise up the activity a smidgen if we find ourselves bored. Just being wherever we want to find ourselves on this scale, we have to neutralize our negative emotions. We have to neutralize our passive emotions to get to a center point, so we could be, our thyroid gland could be balanced. Because if you were here at the beginning, I said that how do we get there? We get there through peace and joy, knowing that joy is on the inside, peace is within, and righteousness. The ability to live righteously, the ability to live life unapologetic, to know that you are taking advice from your soul. Then you live in truth, and the truth is absolute. And don't forget that I said that, because we're going to talk about that later. But truth is from the heart. Your mind is the liar. The thoughts that you have are not your own. There are simply different programs that have been fed to you, albeit school, society, family, friends, social clubs, books, YouTube videos, etc. Other people's ideas. To cut it off, to center yourself, and to start to have your ideas and the things that come out of your mouth is an example of a balanced throat chakra. Depression, anxiety, insomnia, irritability, the skin being acne, even hair. If your hair is not growing correctly, a lot of women struggle with not being able to conceive. Just a whole host of things that can be corrected by understanding the chakras and understanding how to bridge the heart and the head. The fifth chakra is the particular point when doing the chakra work that you realize that God is within you, and you get your script from God. So when you do not feel as though you want to be there, or whatever you feel like saying, and it comes from the heart, then you just know. And it is kind of a different vibration from saying things that people want to hear, doing things that people want you to do, and just living life according to everybody else's plan for you. This is not going to balance the fifth chakra. It is going to cause an imbalance on at the fifth chakra, and is going to show up negatively, mainly through bad health. The thyroid gland is nothing to play with. So having irritability, confusion, depression, paranoia, schizophrenia, being real happy, being real sad, it is a result of an imbalanced thyroid gland, and the glands are chakras. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about chakras. We're talking about biopsychology. We're talking about science. We're talking about when science and spirituality meets in the form of consciousness, in the form of the things that we contemplate, and the things that we discuss, the conversations that we have. This thing is not deep, man. This thing is not hard to believe. This thing is not hard to grasp. It is just not discussed. And our people want to solve a problem, but when given the steps, they may not want to accept it. And that is okay, because the ego wants and needs to survive on a certain level. So those who have ears, let them hear. Those who have eyes, let them see life for what it is. You are not a human being. You are not a body. A body is something that you carry with you. You are a chakra system. You are a rainbow. You are light. And I talk about this. I try to talk about this in every video. When light enters the earth, it is then refracted into seven distinct colors, 7 different rays. And that is what is called a rainbow. Just so happens the way that the light is refracted is just the way that it is refracted in us on a conscious level. And this is what we are discussed as the light body. When you go to sleep, your body sleeps, but parts of you are still awoke. Parts of you are moving around. That is what is called the light body. So when you contemplate upon the chakras and you balance your chakras, the thing that which animates you, it is able to move more freely. You are able to become happier, and things begin to happen. You begin to meet friends. You might find a lover. You get money, things of that nature. It is the solution to deal with your light body, because your light body has more power and it has more knowledge. The fifth chakra actually controls the past, present, and the future. And that's powerful to think about. So you are getting information from the past, present, and the future when it is balanced. When it is unactivated, when it is imbalanced, then you are caught in a particular paradigm that you can't solve. So you have to ascend. It is like being on a ladder and witnessing something on the second floor and just being entranced in it, when your destination is to get to the rooftop. But what you seen on the second floor is just so powerful that you feel like, it doesn't get no better than the second floor. But lo and behold, if you were to reach the rooftop, the actual view that you would have, and this is for all of us. God lives in all of us. We all have God within us. It has to be activated. It has to be understood. And we cannot view God within us through the eyes of the ego. The ego despises the God within us because the God within us lives forever, and the ego only is going to be here as long as you don't get hit by a goddamn truck. Soon as you get hit by a truck, the ego is done. But the soul, that ain't no goddamn thing. And this is truth. And the truth is absolute. Unrestricted, free from limitation, complete, perfect, free from imperfection. In your heart is the truth. Within you is absolute. It is unrestricted, free from limitation. The smallest part of you, the kingdom of heaven, is likened to a seed. So more, big, views, likes, share. That is not what we're after in spirituality. We're after the seed. It is called the Bindu seed in Hindu. It is the seed for the largest tree in the whole entire universe. But it is small. It is unseeable. When he truly arrives there and cuts free from himself, all that he knew before now seems worthless, and his knowledge soars, that he is left in unknowing, transcending all knowledge. The absolute realm is everything. Everything that you don't see, everything that you will see, everything that you won't see. It is all possibilities. It is a line dance mixed with an electric slide at a strip club. Like, it is covered in baby oil. Like, it is everything on the universe. Like, it's just everything. It is every possibility. And the absolute resides in your heart. But if you do not know that and access that and deal with that in meditation, then you just won't know. And you will just be trying to get some fancy shit. And that's okay. But that's not absolute. Even the most fanciest shit in the world has its limit. It's not a jet as big as the world. It's not a house as big as the world. Every house has specific parameters and limits to where it stops. But within you is something within you that never stops, that is infinite. It is absolute, that is truth, that you must find. And that is within you, you can find. It would be wonderful to find. It's just that most people just don't want to. Or they don't know, or they don't care, or they confused. They focused on the ego. And that's what drives them. And if the ego is driving you, it imbalances your thyroid problem, so you won't even be alive or happy to enjoy the shit that you've been trying to get. He who truly arrives there cuts free from himself. He cuts free from himself. His existence, he cuts free from, and he's okay with it because the truth is absolute. It is unrestricted, free from limitation. What is within you is truer than what I could ever say about you. That you could find for yourself and speak from that place and be Gucci. This is the Della Reese vibration. You talking about a woman who put out 15 albums, you know what I'm saying? Like, was on 20 different television shows, like 15 to 20 different movies, like, you know what I'm saying? A person that just spoke from, and if she started a church, like she started a metaphysical church and didn't take no money from the congregation, you feel me? This is when you speak from truth, when you just want to help people. When you out here trying to get money and da-da-da-da-da and ripping and running and dipping and dodging and, you know, trying to get more. I need more followers. I need more of this. I need more of that. You are not going to reach the kingdom. And the kingdom of heaven is within you, man. It is not some place off in the distance. It is not some great achievement, a great accomplishment. The kingdom of heaven is a consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is the realm of divine ideas producing their expression, perfect harmony. It is within man. It is the throat. It is the narrow door. It is the seed of unexpressed capacities. It needs to be planted in the soil best suited to its growth. The word of truth is the seed. The word of absolute. The word of truth is the seed. And when planted in a receptive mind, it brings forth the fruits of spirit. The life of the word is the spiritual idea that it contains. So the life of the word, meaning the things that I'm saying, these are not things that I have contemplated up until I have begun the transformation and the transmission. This is new ideas, and I was ready for it. I was prepared for it, and now I'm able to speak it from a higher octave. And this is me and how I communicate. So when we think of others as being wrong, then we are speaking of ourselves. And understanding that we are reflecting constantly. We live in a constant reflection. So from that point of constant reflecting, we have to start to work on transcending the ego, so we begin to reflect from the absolute. We reflect from the infinite. We do not reflect from our old mind, because our mind is trash. There's no saving it. I need to do a video on that. I need to do a video on thoughts, because thoughts are a waste of time. What you think is irrelevant. Nothing that you could think is good. The only thing that you could do is speak the truth that is absolute, that is within you. And you access that through the meditations, through the work of building the chakras and ascending through the trains and really activating your kundalini. Because if it's not activated, it's sleep. And if you sleep, you as good as dead. Because your thyroid gland is going to disrupt every situation that you come in contact. Because you cannot balance a thyroid without balancing it. You have to have a particular consciousness that will access that realm to where you could actually transform into the butterfly for which it is shaped. Like, so, as we balance these chakras, the lag or the distance between our heart and our mind is removed. We no longer need justification for anything. We just exist and live on a particular level. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, man, in a nutshell. The Vishuddha chakra, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, the kingdom within, and really living in that space, creating that space. And that's what really I've been learning, just simply working with the Vishuddha chakra. This is the revelation, this is the channel. So this information, it is done by me for the people. I know it was kind of long, but it was specifically for my YouTube channel. So if anybody sat and watched it, if they enjoyed it, or if it was boring, just let me know.
Video.
Not no more.